Hey everyone, this is Carla R. Jenkins. Welcome to an all new episode of Projectize, the project management show, where I am going to talk about prompt lists. So, prompt list is a risk management tool, and risk management is something that I want to talk about, especially in challenging times like these, because we're dealing with the pandemic. And if you are interested or you're working in project management and you're doing it in your office or professionally, this is a way of helping analyze your risk. So I wanted to make sure that this show is about this. So I would like to welcome all live and replay viewers to this episode of Projectize. So there are three types of prompt lists, and I'm using the Project Management Body of Knowledge 6th edition because I am a certified project management professional. So first, I'm going to give you a definition of what a prompt list is. A prompt list is a predetermined list of risk categories that might give rise to individual project risk and that could also act as sources of overall project risk. So, what's important about the prompt list is that it can be used as a framework for uh, for the project team in ideal generation and when used for risk identification techniques. And as I mentioned, for when we're talking about uh, risk management and in times like these, the ability to be able to um, identify risk is very important. So there's three types of prompt lists. The first one is Pesto, the second one is TCOP, and the third one is VUCA. So, and last week I did VUCA, which is volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity, but I'm going to cover it again. And so the first one, as I mentioned, was Pesto, spelled PESTETLE, and it's an acronym standing for political, economic, social, technological, legal, and environmental. So there's six different categories and six different variables that you can use to evaluate and identify individual risk and overall project risk. So something else I want to talk about is just using this regardless if it's Pesto, TCOP, VUCA, whatever. Look at individual project risks like singular risks, like things that are outside, and then overall is the summation of individual project risk. So just using Pesto as an example, the individual risk would be the political risk, economic risk, social risk, technological risk, legal risk, environmental risk, and then the overall project risk would be the summation of Pesto. And that's an example of a prompt list. And another thing I wanted to bring about with Pesto is, as I mentioned, in times like these, when you have the coronavirus or you have a pandemic or some uncertainty, you look at those six factors and see like what's on your list and what type of categories is this in. Political, economic, of course, social, yes, because there's a lot of stay-at-home orders, technological, legal, and environmental because not a lot of people are outside. The next one is TCOP. The acronym is spelled TECOP, and it's an acronym for technical, environmental, commercial, operational, and political. And as I mentioned, using TCOP, you can use that for individual risks. So the individual project risk would be technological, environmental, commercial risk, operational risk, political risk, and then you would sum those five if you were to use this prompt list example, prompt list type for overall project risk. So applying, the pandemic to it, is it technological risk? From a healthcare perspective, yes. Environmental, we have stay-at-home orders, so yes, it affects the environment. Commercial, our economy has been decreased some. Operational, yes, because you don't have as many businesses open due to that. And political, yes, that has affected. So I'm giving you an example of like TCOP. And then VUCA. VUCA is volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. As I mentioned before, this is the third type of prompt list. And I've covered that in a previous episode of Projectize, where I talked about the differences for the four and using those four as individual risks, summing that up into overall project risk. So I wanted to use this opportunity of prompt list as a way of using and applying project risk management principles so that for this episode of Projectize, you would know exactly what to do and what to look for, which is very important because I want this to be meaningful. So for this episode, the prompt list and the three types, which are pesto, teacup, and buca. And I also went over them for individual risk as well as overall project risk and how to apply them and those things. So I wanted to do that also. So once again, my name is Carla R. Jenkins. This episode of Projectize. I am a certified project management professional, certified Scrum Master and IDOL with 14 years problem solving experience in project management, big data, and IT service management. You can sign up for the project management newsletter at bit.ly/PM Project Mail. And I would like to thank everyone for watching me live. I do shout out people, so I would like to shout out Rika Tech on Instagram Live. I greatly appreciate you. And I'll see everyone in the next episode of Project.